Hey, friends. April Woodcock here. Hope that you are well. Happy Thursday. We're on track for our Thursday live stream. And today we're going to be talking about Beyond the Followers, building a loyal digital community around your brand. Good news is my voice is a little bit back today, which is great. So my cold is slowly but surely going away. If you're new here, welcome. My name is April Woodcock. I'm with Touching Clients. We are a digital marketing agency here in Connecticut. I work from home in Voluntown, Connecticut, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere, that I like to say, kind of close to everywhere, but not really. And each week, my goal for you is to bring you just some educational tips on how to help you in your business or your nonprofit learn about kind of the latest trends in marketing. We'll talk a little bit about AI. And if there's anything that I can do for you, drop a question. We are streaming to Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn right now. So, in an effort of time, I also want to be respectful. These are about 30 minutes on Thursdays. So, if you can make it, great. And if not, you can always go back to the link and see the recording. And if there's any replay or information with checklists, they'll always be in the description of the video. So, definitely feel free to ask questions as we go, but I'm going to get started here. All right. So we're talking about Beyond the Followers, building a loyal digital community around your brand. And again, my name is April Woodcock. This is how you can reach me. You can also go to touchingclients.com, or you're welcome to drop me an email or a text. So, whoops. Uh, all right. So, when you like, we talk about social media and we talk about all of these elements to bring community together. And I know that I've mentioned before, but obviously, COVID changed a lot of the ways that we do business, whether you are a local business or you're an online business. But the goal is really not anymore about how many followers follow you. It's really about who feels connected to you, how we make people feel, and our interactions with them online is going to always help build that know, like, and trust factor. So, kind of the shift in digital marketing that's occurred, really from popularity to purpose. So, metrics like how many likes you have and how many followers, that used to be a very big deal when we started with social media and kind of the elements of like how many followers do you have. Now, that being said, there is influencers out there that are, if there is a influencer or somebody in the entertainment industry, they may have a lot of followers and they might be something of interest for influencer markets. So for them and kind of where they're drawing their business from, likes are important. However, also that next step is really the engagement, right? So engagement is rooted in the connections that drive real results. So when I say engagement, that is comments, that is not beyond likes. So that's comments, that's you engaging back and having conversations with them that take it to the next level. People crave belonging today. It's not just about content. Social media. I was having a conversation actually earlier today with my father, and we were talking a little bit about some things and kind of how the generations have changed a little bit and what they're exposed to that we weren't exposed to, right? So obviously he's a different generation. He was exposed to different things. And then I'm a Gen X gal. I feel like we're the toughest generation. No offense to anyone. But we didn't have cell phones. We had Total Phone where we could share lines. We didn't really know what was happening with people unless we were with them or we had a phone with them. This was even before kind of email even started. And now today, different generations, all they know is social media, and that's their way to connect with people. However, it does good and bad things, right? So you have that connection where you're kind of behind this wall where sometimes people don't go out as much as they used to because they're not forced to. So there is that way that for businesses to connect with audiences that are craving that element. So Your brand is no longer just a billboard. It's a campfire waiting for people to gather around. And I see this more and more. When we have membership communities that I'm part of, that I've joined, or that I help a client with, people crave that. Like, they crave that interaction, and especially because we are so much more remote too. Again, since COVID, it's changed that. And I realize even myself, I work from home, but the way that I do business has very much shifted in how I do it. So how we connect with people as a business owner online, and create that community for others, is going to make a world of difference in having people trust you. So, why it matters. Trust equals transaction. The more people trust with you, the more likely they're going to do business with you. They're more likely they're going to raise their hand and say, "Hey, you know what? I want to buy your product or service." Retention, once you have somebody in your kind of that becomes a customer, or they're part of your community, it's going to help extend your reach, because what's going to happen is it's going to create that advocacy, right? That brand ambassador for you, which is going to help with advertising about your business, and sharing about information. And if something comes up, you can say, "Oh, I had a great experience with X," or "You should come here." One of the clients that I work with, I know we do a launch twice a year to a membership community. And there's a lot of members that will say, "Oh, I have a friend that this would be a great community. I could see them thriving here." So, and communities convert 2 to 3 times faster than cold audiences, because you've already warmed the waters, right? You've already built that trust. So, kind of understanding the community journey. So you have your follower, then you have your fan, and then essentially your family, right? And maybe that's an overstatement, but at the same time, I think that when you have a community of loyal people that are following you, and if you are engaged with them, you are creating some kind of business family, right? A community where there's conversations, the tough conversations about whatever the topic is, or ideas. You're offering ideas or different perspectives. So, kind of the journey starts with discovering. They're going to discover. And then the next is to really engage, right? To get involved in the conversation, to raise their hand and say, "You know what? I'm ready to jump into this community." And then the next would be to participate, to kind of go that next step. And I know all of us are in different groups or communities. And so, like, groups on Facebook, maybe you joined a group on Facebook that had something to do with, I don't know, even if it was just, even, I don't want to say just, because I don't believe just, but excuse me, maybe it was for your dog. Joined a community, and I've seen more times out of 10, because we've recently had a sick dog, that people would chime into the conversation, and they would say, "You make it so warm here. I have questions," and they'll ask questions where they might not have had the confidence to do before. So that's kind of warming that waters. And then obviously they become your advocates, right? And you can advocate for them. What I love about community too is that if you're the business that's created it, and you start to really learn about your community, you can personalize it too. So you can say, "Oh, if somebody asks a question, well, Mary does this, and she would be a great," and you can tag Mary in your community. And this is beyond Facebook groups, friends. This is in membership communities, softwares, things like that. So, but kind of this is the community journey, so to speak. And your next brand ambassador is already following you, and they just need the invitation to engage. So that's where that personalization becomes really effective in communities. The more you can interact with people, the more conversations you can have with people, the more likely you're going to get that engagement of conversations. So, turning the casual followers into members. So, I'm going to give you kind of a few steps here for you to follow. And they're pretty easy, actionable steps, I believe. So, step one, create meaningful points, host live sessions in your community, Q&As, or have a challenge. A few years back, my friend Eamon O'Brien, he's out of Ireland. We did a video challenge, and it was fun. We had a great time, and we were engaging people, and they were sharing their videos of what they did. So look for ways. That's a great opportunity. Or maybe it's you're teaching photography online, or maybe you're teaching photography in your local community. Have a group in a community where people can share their pictures and feature things like that. Definitely look to create interactive activities, so polls, are great. Questions, reflections. Definitely use simple call to action. Share your story. Now, here's a tip, friend. You know, when the hardest thing is getting the conversation going. So I always encourage you to that if you are making a post and you feel like it might pull on the heartstrings of some, share, you post in that community and post about your personal experience so you can add to it, because once one person does it, then it becomes okay, somebody did, oh, that's interesting, I can relate to that. And it definitely begins all about the conversation. So whatever you can do to kind of bring that conversation to light is huge. Building authentic relationships. So you definitely want to engage with intention. You want to respond to the comments personally. I know that a lot of us wear many hats in our businesses, and maybe you have a virtual assistant or you have somebody on your team. Just, it's always a little bit more personal if they sign off on it. So like if they comment and, this is April here, love your comment, whatever it is. But you definitely want to respond to the comments. Celebrate your member wins publicly. So if they are in tune to celebrating it, just ask if you can share it. But if they've done something, a project, or, I have had different Canva trainings that I've done, and I've had my members share their Canva, their images of what they're doing. Here's the thing. The one thing about communities that people are more likely to share than in a public page, for some reason, it feels safer. It feels gated. So the conversations come a little bit more readily. Use direct messages and personalized video messages. So there's some really great tools out there where you can send a personalized video to somebody where they get it in their email and they can play it. Also look to feature members of the month. Maybe you want to highlight a member of the month or week, whatever your community is doing, just to let people know. It also gives better connection. And obviously, consistency builds credibility. Consistency is the hardest thing, right? When we're building content and we're trying to do all these things, but authenticity keeps it. So just be real, be who you are, and that's going to help build that community element. So storytelling and shared values. This is going to be your step 3. Connect through story. And kind of here's just a simple formula. Story formula: struggle, solution, success. So kind of what is the problem? Where are you struggling? Offer a solution and then a success when you're telling a story. And here's some AI prompts. Here's some prompts. Well, this is not really AI prompts. I have AI prompts coming up, but these are prompts that you can ask somebody in your community to get the conversation started, right? So maybe you want to interview somebody and you're going to do a live stream where it's in the community and you're going to share their story. And maybe it's not just a written story, maybe it's a live story. You can ask questions like why did your brand begin? What values guide your decisions? What transformation can your members experience? There's ways to kind of just pull out questions from people that make it more personalized. And I say an interview with video because for some of us, it's easier than writing content. And it's also another human connection to your community. And your story really, at the end of the day, isn't about you. You have to remember that it's about the person who sees themselves in it. So as you're telling maybe your story, or if you're telling someone else's story, it needs to be relatable to somebody else that can relate to that. It's kind of that how you make them feel, which I believe we talked about that on Tuesday a little bit. So platforms that help you build the connection with community. So Facebook groups are great. The thing is with Facebook is you don't own the group. So that's the one thing you need to keep in mind. So there's always, and Facebook is always changing things. They just recently did some changes for admins. But you can have them public. You can kind of, you can have them so they have to answer questions. They can be private. The one thing you can't do obviously you can have a membership that's paid that you're using Facebook as that group, but it's not something where people can join the group and pay for it right at that within Facebook. So Mighty Networks is a great one. I also am taking a really hard look at Circle. I've used it before. I really like it. I like the way that you can build a community in there. And then there's like other communities now, like there's Substack, which is a community as well. There's other things like Discord and Slack where there's collaboration and ongoing dialogue. I'm part of a course that has a huge community to it, and they use Discord. I don't personally love Discord, but it's more set up like a forum, right? So like there's different topics and you click on the topic and then you ask a question and people get involved in the conversation, which it's totally fine for the use that it is in that sense because I'm not really there. It's an interesting dynamic of this community. People don't um, share the products they're selling. It's kind of a it's an interesting thing, but yeah, but they're talking about like Google Ads and they're talking about different marketing things and kind of strategies and like price points for or questions about websites. So there's definitely it's more technical focus. So it does work for that. And then obviously you kind of have the Zoom, Demio, Circle again offers where you can have live streams right in there and create events. So those are helpful ways for you to build connection. Steve Dotto, who I work with, Webinar Wednesday, we use Demio. We use Demio for a lot of our webinars there. He really likes it because it records and it automatically sends out the recording when it's done. We don't always use that element, but a lot of times we will. And you can also ahead of time put links in the email. So if there's other follow-up information, and from an interface, it's pretty stable. I use Zoom a lot because of within my constant contact work, we use Alignable platform and they want us to use Zoom over there or their personal connection. They have like a smart connect. But I like StreamYard. We're streaming from StreamYard. There's a webinar platform as well. I like StreamYard because of the after. So I can recreate, I can take the videos that we create here and make them shorter and I can add them to the community. Plus I can stream to multiple places. So the big thing is when you're looking at platforms, there's so many to choose from. You just have to find the one that's good for you, that's going to serve your community, and that it works for you. So whether it's a free community that you're offering or a paid one, you just want to make sure that it's easy for you to use and that you understand it. And the other thing too is consider going where your people hang out. So for example, we use Facebook for one of the businesses I work with because it works because the audience is there. Most of the audience is there. It makes it easy. You don't have to force them to adapt. Just try to meet them where they are. The other thing too is that it's always great to survey your people. If you have an email list ahead of time, I would survey them and ask kind of where are you? What have you ever? Are you on Substack? Are you here? And that could help determine where you're going. And then obviously, as a business owner, you have to be mindful of costs, right? So you want to make sure that you're finding the right place where you can scale and grow your business and grow your community and have bandwidth that you're not going to have to make a change kind of mid-growth because that can be painful too. So some more tools to enhance engagement. So this is a great way for you to kind of step 5 to encourage interaction. So think of polls, badges. You can do some gamification things where there's streaks. Canva templates, my favorite tool, Canva. I use it for everything, but it's nice because you can create some really professional looking things and get your community involved. AI tools for community prompts or summaries. So I see a lot more where people are using or offering prompts to help guide them through finding information. And what's great about that is that because AI is a tool in our tool chest and can be a great resource, it's interesting to learn about different prompt ideas from different people. So if you and your community put a prompt idea out there and somebody offered something else and you did you use that, it's interesting to hear the feedback of the different feedback you get. Think about a weekly share your win post to keep energy alive and moving, ways to get the conversation going and to continue to keep it going. So for the next 30 days, you should be thinking about creating your community roadmap. So you want to identify your shared mission, kind of what is your mission to build your community. Define 3 member touch points per week because the more you engage with your community, the more likely they're going to engage with you. Decide on a platform, or if you're using a platform. So if you have a Facebook group, Update the header, make sure the description's set up, kind of go back through the settings. Facebook does changes all the time. If you are using Mighty Networks or you're using Slack, look at ways for you. It's kind of like if you have a cleaning lady come once a month, you are the cleaning lady or cleaning man. Come and clean up your community and kind of take a look at it and make sure that you're using everything to its capacity or everything that works for you, and shut off things that aren't working for you. And then plan your first engagement event. So host a live Q&A, host an educational training, invite a member to come in and talk about their business. And definitely you have to remember communities thrive on rhythm, so not randomness. So like that consistency is key. It's going to make a world of difference in everything that you're doing. The other thing too is just make sure that you're always looking at your metrics. I talk about this all the time. Metrics are key. Metrics are something that you want to make sure that you are looking at, measuring, listen. Definitely, you want to make sure you're listening to your members and that they feel heard. So if somebody has a concern or a customer service question, which can be hard as your community grows. So that's where you want to make sure that you're in a place and you have kind of those tools in place that you can recognize if somebody's asking a question, you're getting those notifications. Definitely make sure you provide clarity, purpose, and energy to your group. And then celebrate the small wins and shared stories. So like if you see something of your member doing something that might be outside of the community, ask to share that. Whatever you can do to lift someone up makes a world of difference. I mean, let's face it, we all like to be lifted up and supported. And if you have people that are in your community, they're there for a specific reason, to learn from you, to engage from the members. They take that energy from everybody that's participating. And don't get me wrong, you're going to have members that participate more than others. And then you're going to have members that are kind of the stalking, and they're taking it up and they're going to ask a question or engage in their own time. So just make sure that you're celebrating that and that kind of diversity of your group. And when people feel seen, they stay. And that's the goal, is that you want obviously to retain your community because you want to grow it. Because at the end of the day, it is about if it's a paid community, obviously there's some revenue involved in it, but it's also, if you have a free community, it's building that trust to have another service maybe they're going to purchase or something like that. So kind of redefining success. So here are some AI prompts for you. Think about putting into AI, what's one thing you'll do differently this week to spark more connection? So instead of, I would say something probably more like, I'm having a hard time in my community, and I would provide the description. And obviously, as you use AI, depending upon if you have a paid service, you can actually put in your voice, your vision, your brand, and it's going to help you with those prompts. So, and then you can ask it about what type of community makes sense for your audience. And then write 3 ways my audience could connect more deeply with my brand based on our shared values. So AI comes back with some pretty good ideas. Obviously they're not all fantastic ideas, but there's some pretty good ideas out there. And it helps to give you some organization, especially when you're a small business and you don't have a lot of feedback from people, or you are a solopreneur. It definitely helps with that. So I would encourage you to kind of use AI to help you to build your community outline. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you are going to be the voice and the vision of the brand. You are going to be the community manager, the person that people are coming to learn from and see. But it can definitely help give you some direction and some clarity and some ideas. All right, my friends, your community awaits. We will have another live stream next Thursday, same time, same place. We're going to be talking about marketing by the numbers, how small businesses can use data to make smarter decisions. And again, these are on Thursdays. I really want to keep them short with some tips for you to learn, or kind of reaffirm some of the things you're already doing in your business. If you scan this QR code, there is a reminder for YouTube. I hope to see you there. And let me see if there's any questions. Okay. Hey, Mary Jo. So my Canva trainings are not available on YouTube. I might have a few, but I do have and because you're in the Gray Wave, there's a whole Canva library there. I also in the new year have new Canva trainings because they've added some things. So why don't you drop me an email? Constant contact trainings, I can send you. I have a whole bunch coming up on Alignable. I have some recordings, so I can also send those to you as well. All right, my friends. Well, again, my name is April Woodcock. I'm with Touching Clients. I hope to see you on Thursday and see you back if you are on YouTube or if you're on Facebook. I hope to see you soon. And if there's anything that I can do for you, please do reach out to me at A Woodcock at touchingclients.com, or just stop by our website at touchingclients.com and I will actually just kind of share that screen. So there is our website. Thanks so much for coming. You guys have a fantastic day. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys again next Thursday. Take care, friends. Thanks, Mary Jo.